Okay, all the wheels are now done. What I have done is, and you don't have to do this again, it's just something I do, is I put a bit of super glue between the rim and the tyre, smeared it round, waited for it to go dry, and just gently scraped it off. The reason being, sometimes you can pull the tyres off if you're not careful. Now, again, I don't have a wheel puller, wheel press, a proper tool for it, so I always seem to bodge this, and it is a bit awkward. So I'm not saying follow me on this one, but as it's the only thing I've done, and it's it, I don't have the right tools, I can't show you the best ways of doing it. So anyway, test fit this. The likelihood is these will be too tight, which is how they've usually engineered. See, it won't go in very well, it doesn't want to go in. Okay. And again, that's where the taper reamer comes in. Gently stick it in about that much to start with. Now test that. Right, we're in, but it's a bit tight. Still a bit tight. You may have a build-up of gunk, either super glue or brass shavings. But this job is just little and often. You can't rush this one. Oh, nearly, that wasn't glued properly because the old bearing's spinning. Let's put a bit more glue on, it's not a big deal. Right. Let's try that one. A bit more free now. Go to the side and just do it again. Well, we've passed through, but it's not free. Okay, so you, again, gently tease it out just a bit more. You need to get a working clearance. You don't want it so it's sloppy, but you don't want it so it's tight. You just got to get it where it's just right. All I can say is it's just practice and experience and a bit of luck. You have to glue that back in because the bearing itself is spinning. It also means you push this reamer in too far and you're causing too much resistance. I don't know if you can see the end of it. No, it's not going to focus. Well, anyway, there's bits of metal on it, so every now and again, just get a bit of tissue, clean it. Right, again, I'm going to switch the camera off, get this done because it's boring watching it now. You get the idea. A bit more free. Just little and often. Teeny bit, keep checking. Teeny bit, keep checking. So give me 2 seconds. Okay, once that's done, the next thing I do is take this wheel and you want to basically make sure that this axle is fixed fast. Okay. Most people would say use Loctite 603, I believe. Maybe that's the wrong number. I tend to use this 243 because it's not quite as strong. Like I said, medium strength. And I know it's for metal because it basically causes some kind of chemical reaction and the metal expands on a small level. It still seems to, in effect, glue things to plastic. So I'll put a blob on the inside and the outside. Blue in colour. Just ring that round a bit. Mop up any excess with a bit of tissue. You don't really want it on the axle, you just want it in the joint. A blob on the outside. And just mop up the excess. And leave it for a bit. I don't know, 5 minutes or so. Seems to be enough usually. You could also use it for the crank pin if you wanted. Oh, then go and wash your hands. Okay, so we've done that. When you get yourself some bearings, they're 1/8 fibre washers in this case. I said bearings, didn't I? I mean washers. You can probably use brass ones, but I find if you use fibre ones, then you don't even have to worry about any possible electrical problems. Sometimes obviously you're going to want brass, but easy as that. Now that these holes have been reamed out, you'll see that they line up with the brake pads and spin fine. Okay. Now this again is where this issue about the wheel pull and the presser comes in. I'll take this out a sec. If you look here, either side of the bearing, you see either side of the little bearing there's like a vertical lines with a hole at the top. That's because with etch kits usually you cut those out, they guide your saw blade, and this whole horn block will drop out and you can put sprung ones in even. I haven't tried it with these chassis, but in principle it should work. Only thing is the top would be weak if you do that. So at the moment, I mean if you do that you can drop the wheels out, it's a lot easier. Excuse me. At the moment I just tend to push these on by hand. And it's a bit of a fiddle and you can bugger things up, but at the moment that's how I do it. Now you have a quarter, and I mentioned that earlier. With these wheels they're just quarter automatically because you can only put the axle in quarter intervals. These ones, obviously the round, they've infinite angles. And you have something called right hand lead and left hand lead, and different engines had different ones. And I ain't sure what engines had what, because I'm not even sure how to find the information out. But it doesn't matter too much, because you only see one side of the engine anyway, for the most part. So if we go with this at the moment, and assume that the crank pins, because of at the top, represent 12 o'clock, on the other side they will have to be either 9 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Similarly, if they were at 6, then again they would have to be 9 or 3. And you know, I'm sure you get the idea now. If they're going to put pointing that way, they either have to be pointing up or down. So if we go for the top, do one at a time actually. Try and hold it in position best you can, and then put this on. I'm going to go 9 o'clock. Other than getting the correct tools, if you know a better idea, please tell me, because this is always a struggle. I'll get there eventually, but it's always a struggle. If you find it's too hard to press this on, you can file the end of the axle very slightly to help ease things in a bit, or maybe ream out these holes just a wee bit. But you don't want to do it too much because you don't want to willy in a welly, do you? Right, that's 12. About 3. Let's go in and see how it goes. Now if you remember, I Loctited one side, that's to make this more secure. Another thing you can do is try and use the pliers again. It started to go on. Now what's happened is I didn't have enough Loctite glue on, so the axle's popped out. Yeah. So this is what happens sometimes. Yeah, it's to gauge, but not good enough. Alright, no big deal. Start again. Okay, I've took that off, and then basically reamed out one of the wheels very slightly. It might not be good practice, the instructions do say with the axles to sometimes chamfer the edges to help the axles go on. Again, you can always Loctite or super glue it. So again, if you put that at 12, the other one at 9, then look through the spokes. And you just have to gauge it. You can tweak it a bit later and put your back-to-back gauge on and run it through. If you have a wheel that's very slightly bent because of all the fiddling, you can tease it out later. But obviously, if you use the correct tools, you won't have this problem so much. If anybody knows how to go about this a better way without the tools, I'm all ears. See, the top one's fine, but the bottom has a little wobble on. See it? So that'll have to be teased out later. Now, when you build them like etched kits, you tend to do roll tests, so sticking wheels on, make sure things, don't wobble about. That's what I use a glass for, so it's all nice and level. I'm just going to, basically, when I put that wheel set in, I'm going to go straight for the gearbox and risk it. I'm not saying you have to, but now I'm going to show you what to do with the bogies.